Hi, I'm Brian Duffy from 19 News. Here are the latest headlines, first alert weather, and breaking news for Wednesday, March 25th, 2026.
First with breaking news. First with new information. Plus, your first alert forecast. 19 News starts now.
Their time with us was brief. It was meaningful. While they were here, they brought light, joy, and love to everyone who had the privilege of encountering them.
It was an outpouring of emotion for two little girls whose young lives came to a tragic end. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Duffy.
And I'm Nicole Versansky. Amor Wilson and Mila Chapman, two sisters who had their whole lives ahead of them. Today, they were remembered for the princesses they were.
And not for how they were found, buried, and left in a field. Keith Grant is in our newsroom with the emotional funeral for the young girls who captured the hearts of all Clevelanders.
Nicole and Brian, that funeral today comes nearly a month after Amor and Mila's bodies were found, but people wearing pink and purple for the girls who the pastor says love to be treated like princesses.
But we trust that their lives, short as they were not without purpose.
The funeral held Wednesday for Amor Wilson, who was 10, and Mila Chapman, 8, who police found dead and buried in suitcases near Ginn Academy earlier this month. Their caskets, pink, their favorite color, and printed with flowers on them.
They were princesses. That's what they love. As you'll see today, the colors are purple and pink to signify what they loved as being princesses and being adored that way.
Earlier this month, a man walking his dog along East 162nd Street made a grim discovery: the remains of two little girls stuffed inside suitcases. Investigators identified them as Amor Wilson and Mila Chapman. A grand jury indicting their mother, 28-year-old Aaliyah Henderson. She's charged with murder and other crimes in their deaths.
We also pause to acknowledge and commend and acknowledge two great fathers, Rayshawn Wilson and Deshaun Chapman.
The girls' father sharing a message on Wednesday. Wilson's pre-recorded from jail.
I'm not sure how you extinguish two beautiful flames after you nurtured and fostered their growth.
And Mila Chapman's father, Deshaun, with a message to you.
We got to get these babies safe, man. That's all I'm going to say. Thank y'all for coming out, and I love everybody that can.
All right, Henderson will have her arraignment hearing tomorrow. We'll stream that for you live on 19 News Plus. Brian and Nicole.
Okay, Keith, thank you. The girl's mother, Aaliyah Henderson, is accused of killing them. She is scheduled to be arraigned tomorrow. 19 News will be in the courtroom. There's so much emotion surrounding this just terrible story. We have a podcast dealing with the investigation, what we know so far. Watch Dark Side of the Land, Suitcases and Shallow Graves, the murder of Mila and Amor. It's on 19 News Plus.
Now your 19 First Alert forecast. Certified most accurate since 2004.
All right, First Alert Day, storms heading our way tomorrow.
And look who we have here, 19 First Alert meteorologist Erica Page, back from maternity leave with the details. You look great, baby. Hope is beautiful.
You do.
Yeah.
So nice to see you again.
It's good to be back, honestly, and it's good that my husband's at home with Hope, so I know everything is good to go with her too. Let's walk you through tomorrow, because it is going to be a day where we're going to have to watch for a few showers and storms, some of which could become strong to severe once we get into the later part of tomorrow, mostly late afternoon into evening, and then you may see some of those storms continue into tomorrow night as well. So that's really what you're going to have to watch for as we get into the day. Now, tomorrow morning, you may hear a little bit of rain or actually wake up to it. This is not the cold front, and we don't expect severe weather there either, but you just may have a couple hit or miss showers still moving through the area, all preceding this cold front that will eventually kind of close in on our area once we get into tomorrow afternoon. Couple peaks of sunshine possible in spots. Not saying it's sun for everybody, but if you can get in on some of that sunshine, that will certainly help to boost that temperature, which will only be a little bit more fuel for any of those storms as we get into the later part of tomorrow afternoon and evening. It's the evening hours predominantly that will really kind of be our main focus for any severe activity that will be possible through the day tomorrow. Gusty winds is our main concern. You're also going to have a lot of moisture working back in, so some bouts of heavy rain, maybe localized flooding concerns, especially especially as we get into the later part of tomorrow night. But any isolated, really organized storm could pose that hail or even isolated tornado risk. We'll break it all down for you coming up in just a few minutes.
A little girl dies after being trapped inside her burning home. It is an overwhelming tragedy being felt not only by her family, but the neighborhood where she lived and the rescuers who risked their own lives trying to save her. Catherine Huntley joins us live with the story. Catherine.
Now, it's simply just an unimaginable situation in Stark County's Plain Township. The medical examiner has identified the victim as Havana Collins Cody. She was just 1 year old, and she was set to celebrate her second birthday in less than a month. And at times today, the smell from this fire has hung in the air as investigators work to find out what went wrong. Plain Township neighbors' thoughts are with the family of 1 year old Havana Collins Cody.
We are really praying for them. I can't imagine the hurt that they're going through, the pain.
That's terrible. It shouldn't happen to nobody. I just hope the best for them. And if they need anything, I would go down and help them.
The true devastation of last night's fire apparent today. Significant burns marking the home's second floor as investigators returned. Plain Township Fire Department got the call just before 9:30 yesterday evening. They arrived to heavy smoke, heat, and fire coming from the second floor.
That's when I saw the flames just shooting up out of the far right side of the house, easily to the height of the trees behind it.
Neighbor Jean Marie Campbell saw the inferno from her upstairs window. The fire department worked to save the child trapped upstairs in a bedroom, but she tragically passed away. 3 other family members were treated for smoke inhalation.
I can't comprehend their grief, but I know that I pledge to pray for them. What else can we do?
Campbell said the neighbors tried to do what they could for the family. Campbell herself has survived a house fire and lost nearly everything. Now she will support the family through prayer.
Just sad. Just really sad from both perspectives of having survived a fire myself. It's like your life is divided into BF and AF, before the fire and after the fire. It's that traumatic.
Now we're working to find out just how the other family members are doing who were treated, but we're learning that the Plainville Township Fire Department, the Stark County Sheriff's Office, and the State Fire Marshal's Office are actively investigating this absolutely terrible situation. For now in Plain Township, Catherine Huntley, 19 News.
Well, Cleveland police responded to a home on the city's west side for a man who had barricaded himself inside. As the police arrived, they were told a 40-year-old man was inside and that family members were in there, and he was allegedly threatening them with some type of weapon. Those family members actually were able to get out of the house before police had arrived. We went to the scene. This was on Seneca Court near West 140th and Triscuit. We know a suspect is in custody now. Charges are pending.
Now your 19 First Alert traffic update.
As the war with Iran continues, U.S. troops are expected to deploy to the Middle East in the coming days. Meantime, President Donald Trump is saying a deal to end the war is in sight. That sentiment is not echoed by Iran, which suggests that the White House is negotiating with itself. Lee Waldman has the latest.
Airstrikes continue in the Middle East. A residential area in Tehran was hit, according to the Iranian Red Crescent. In central Israel, at least 9 people were hurt after an Iranian missile launch, emergency officials said. In the coming days, approximately 1,000 soldiers with the Army's 82nd Airborne Division are expected to deploy to the Middle East, according to 2 sources familiar with the matter. One of the sources said the brigade will be prepared to be called upon if needed.
They're serious about conducting some kind of a ground operation in Iran. Why else would you be sending the immediate ready brigade from the 82nd Airborne?
I would not support troops going into Iran, period. No ifs, ands, or buts, but I also want to be clear that this administration, at least in talks with us, has not voiced that they want that either.
This comes as President Donald Trump says the U.S. is winning this war and is close to ending it.
I can tell you they'd like to make a deal, And who wouldn't if you were there?
The U.S. has shared a 15-point list of expectations with Iran via Pakistan, two regional sources told CNN, who added that among the points included are limits on Tehran's defense capability, a cessation of support for proxies, and an acknowledgement of Israel's right to exist. However, Iran's semi-official news agency Fars is reporting Iran will not accept a ceasefire and believes it would not be logical for it to enter talks with the United States, citing a source with knowledge of the diplomatic activity. I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
Well, there is a new push by breweries from all over our state to try and keep their ability to produce and sell THC intoxicating beverages.
It was vetoed by Governor DeWine this past December and took effect just a couple of weeks ago. We've been hearing a lot about this right now. Dan DeRose is now joining us now with the new moves that some of these breweries, local breweries, are taking.
So the breweries tried to get enough signatures to put this on November's ballot, and they failed. So you will not be voting on this. So their last-ditch effort is to look at the governor's veto and try and get the House to override the governor's veto. I'm not sure how much support there's going to be, but here is the new website. And this is being done by the biggest breweries all over the state. You've got Rhinegeist and 50 West in Cincinnati, Jackios in Columbus. You've got Great Lakes and Saucy Brewworks here in the city of Cleveland. A whole new website. They're trying to get support for this, trying to get the leadership to at least get it to the floor. This goes back to Senate Bill 56. The House and the Senate passed this late last year, and they were really with that bill trying to define everything. You have to be 21 years of age for this. This is how many plants you can grow. Basically fine-tuning Senate Bill 2. Remember when we all passed, the voters passed to legalize marijuana in the state? This was really trying to fine-tune it. When it got to the governor's desk, the governor said, look, the federal government is already going to ban THC drinks in November. So let's just go ahead and do it now. So he vetoed all of those lines straight out of there. The breweries are asking you to join their fight, not only to sign up for their website, but they're explaining and showing what they're getting in support-wise already. Their goal, and you can see it go up, this is real time, their goal is to get 15,000 supporters from around the state, big numbers in our section as well as central and down in southwest Ohio. Here's what they're saying. First of all, here's all the products that it would ban. If you haven't seen these, it's not a beer. It is literally a THC drink that has the active ingredient that will get you intoxicated. According to the brewers here, this will get rid of 700 jobs throughout the state of Ohio, and it'll have a $130 million impact on revenue for the state of Ohio. That's the argument they're trying to make. It is going to be tough sledding, even if, again, they're able to get enough support to get Senate President Rob McCauley to bring it back. The federal government, Donald J. Trump, President Trump, has already banned this and signed a ban starting in November. It'll be an interesting fight over the next few months.
Now your 19 First Alert forecast. Certified most accurate since 2004.
Well, we've been enjoying some of the warmer weather compared to yesterday. Today, temperatures have slowly warmed back into the 50s. We'll get a little bit warmer than that tomorrow, becoming that fuel for some of those showers and storms. It is a 19 First Alert weather day. We're really watching the afternoon and evening hours for the best potential to see any strong, possibly even severe storms. So tomorrow morning, you may wake up to a little bit of rain kind of working its way through northeast Ohio. This is not expected to be severe. Could you hear a rumble of thunder? It is possible, but the main event that we're watching is actually coming out ahead of a cold front, and that's why we have that slightly better opportunity of seeing more organized storms that could tip the scale, becoming strong to severe. So please make sure you do have multiple ways of receiving any type of severe weather alerts as we go through the day tomorrow. Certainly if you have travel plans maybe that take you west, this is where the greatest risk of severe weather will be, anywhere from Chicago, northern Indiana, and into parts parts of western and northwestern Ohio, but we have gradually seen this level 2 out of 5 risk slowly expanded off towards the east as today has gone on. And that's because we do anticipate some favorable ingredients for at least the damaging wind threat, if not potentially some isolated storms that could pose a hail as well as an isolated tornado risk. Again, those are lower, but they are not zero as we head into tomorrow. As for the rest of today, clouds will kind of filter out and move through the area here over the next several hours. We may catch some breaks in those clouds, especially through the overnight, but this again all precedes a little bit more cloud cover tomorrow morning, as well as that incoming opportunity for rain. Again, this will not be severe, so you don't have to necessarily worry about that. But as we slowly get into the afternoon, we'll watch to our north and northwest as that cold front starts to sink into northeast Ohio to become that better focus for us to see showers and storms. Our main event will likely happen into tomorrow evening, potentially the tail end of the evening commute time, if not closer to about 7, 8 o'clock in the evening for our northern counties. And that cold front will continue to push to the south, still keeping some heavy rain possible even on the backside of that system before we eventually clear all that rain out by early Friday and then really start to work towards a little bit more sunshine once we get into Friday afternoon. Here's the thing though, on the other side of this front, you are going to get a sharp reset in your temperatures. At best, we're sitting into the mid-30s Friday afternoon with a brisk north wind. It is not going to feel comfortable. Good news for us, you step into the weekend, we get to enjoy a lot of sunshine, temperatures that are recovering before a more active, unsettled pattern returns next week.
Now to your top 4 at 4, people saying goodbye to Amor Wilson and Mila Chapman. Funeral services were today for the sisters who police say were killed by their mother. The girls were just 8 and 10 years old. Their bodies were found buried in suitcases earlier this month. It has been an incredibly emotional day, including a beautiful escort to and from the church for the girls, organized by the group, the Mystic Knights Motorcycle Club.
Former Cleveland divorce attorney accused of killing his client, Eliza Sherman, was back in court today. Gregory Moore is accused of stabbing Sherman when she went to his office in downtown Cleveland for an appointment. The pretrial hearing centered around prosecutors wanting to use jail phone calls between Sherman and his attorney. Prosecutors said they had collected the calls, so they should be able to use them, but ultimately they will not be able to use that information they got from the calls due to attorney-client privilege. Moore has pleaded not guilty.
Iran dismissed an American plan to pause the war in the Middle East. It launched more attacks on Israel and Gulf Arab countries. Iran's defiance came as Israel launched airstrikes on Tehran and as the U.S. deployed paratroopers and more Marines to the area.
ODOT has recommended giving Brook Park $35 million for traffic improvements around the Browns' new indoor stadium. That sounds great for the project. Problem is that is only half of what the city has asked for. Final vote on this will come next month. The money can only be used for roads maintained by the state, like 71 and the Snow Road interchange, not local streets. So Brook Park will have to figure out where to come up with the remaining $35 million they were asking for. Rock history is going up for grabs.
With rare guitars and iconic memorabilia from Kiss, Metallica, Motley Crue, all hitting the auction block. Highlights include a 1977 tour jacket and a legendary electric guitar played by Kiss founding guitarist Ace Frehley, who died last year.
The guitars and the items of clothing that he wore are the conversation pieces that keep that legacy alive, keep that memory alive, and it's our youth. And we look to these items, we think of, I remember when.
Frehley's 1975 Gibson Les Paul, known as Ace One, is expected to sell for up to $600,000. The music icons auction takes place in New York at the end of May.
Footage showing the moments a police chase ended in a crash.
So that was early this morning. 2 deputies were hurt in that crash that you just watched.
Colton Molesky spent the day in the neighborhood, has everything we need to know right now. Colton.
An area business shared with me security camera video showing the exact moment of that crash. And it's video you'll just see on 19 News. a pickup speeding away from Brooklyn police, racing down Poe Avenue, colliding with a Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Office cruiser on Fulton Road. Cameras from Total Wireless on the corner of Fulton and Poe with a front row seat to the collision.
That was scary, waking up to sirens. You didn't know what was the, house fire or, it just, I'm still shaking inside.
Wanda lives just a few doors down from the intersection. She says the sirens woke her up early Wednesday morning. She guesses a dozen police cars were crowding the road.
I didn't want to go out because I didn't know what was going on.
This is the aftermath of the crash. At around 2 in the morning, the deputy's cruiser smashed in on the passenger side, the seat blanketed in airbags. A county spokesperson says deputies were assisting Brooklyn police in a chase. Officials tell 19 News the pickup was stolen. 2 deputies were taken to a hospital for non-life-threatening injuries.
It's scary. It's scary.
We're still working on getting more details on the case and dash camera video. The county says Brooklyn police are leading the investigation. In Cleveland, Colt Molesky, 19 News.
Okay, Erica. Well, Kent man wanted for a parole violation arrested on the beach in Florida.
This is the kind of people we don't need on our beach. We don't need in our community, and I'm glad that we can get him off the sand.
Anthony Grove served time for the death of his 2-month-old son. Grove threw a coffee mug at his son's mother and struck little Zealand in the head, killing him. This was back in 2015. Grove was released on parole in 2024, but quit checking in with his parole officer.
A deal to end the partial government shutdown and fund DHS looks uncertain. Democrats shot down the latest Republican proposal. It comes as passengers continue to face hours-long lines at some airports nationwide. TSA agents are poised to miss another paycheck later this week, and that puts pressure on lawmakers on Capitol Hill. The acting TSA administrator testified today about the growing impacts.
We are being forced to consolidate lanes and may have to close smaller airports if we do not have enough officers.
Republicans presented Democrats with a proposal that would fund the Department of Homeland Security except ICE enforcement and removal operations. Democratic leaders pushed back, saying it does not include the reforms they've been demanding, such as tightening rules around warrants. Democrats say they will offer a counter proposal.
Runway 4 at New York's LaGuardia Airport remains closed for at least another 2 days as investigators analyze the deadly collision between an Air Canada flight and a fire truck. Video shows the moments after the crash Sunday night, passengers getting out of the plane and onto the wing. Rachel Mariotti was in an exit row and helped get the emergency door open. She says there was no chaos inside the plane, but plenty of shock as people started to realize what had just happened. Pilot and first officer died. Mariotti credits them for saving the lives of everyone else on board.
That I don't know how much your training covers running into fire trucks, but they saved us from not spinning out of control and not trying to avoid hitting the truck. So I keep thinking about them.
NTSB investigators are now looking into several possible issues, including staffing in the air traffic control tower, a runway warning system, and what the firefighters did in the moments before being hit. Well, it's generating a lot of talk, has a lot of people paying attention. What is the best use of the land that is currently Burke Lakefront Airport? Should it stay an airport?
Boy, this has been the debate for quite some time now. Or should it be bulldozed to create an iconic landmark drawing thousands of people every year? First at 4, Stephen Hernandez with both sides of the argument.
The city sees a ton of opportunity in closing Burke Lakefront Airport.
There's investments waiting at the door, and the city will not answer.
The debate over the Burke Lakefront Airport is an argument that's been happening for years, not only between the city and airport, but people who live in Northeast Ohio. The city of Cleveland envisions a new Burke Lakefront, not with an airport, but with public parks, biking paths, and sports facilities that could generate more than $2.5 million a year in tax revenue.
Burke Lakefront Airport also loses $1.7 million a year and generates very little tax income for the city.
In response, the Lakefront Airport Preservation Partnership says not so fast. Today, they defended the airstrip, saying closing it could be costly and full of consequences.
All those operations, 50,000 operations per year, what would happen and where would they go?
If the airport closes, then the airshow goes away.
The coalition is open to a compromise. During the press conference, they had one image on display showing a more mixed-use style of Burke Airport with just one landing strip in the middle.
But it's not a possibility the city and the North Coast Waterfront Development Corporation see as realistic.
When you think about uses like public parks and restaurants, having airplanes landing right next to you the entire time you're doing it does not seem super appealing to me personally.
Cleveland officials say there's no hard deadline to decide the future of Burke, but for now, both parties are asking Clevelanders the same question. What do you value more?
This could be aeronautical use and recreational use.
There's lots of answers here to make sure that everyone currently there can continue to thrive while also looking at that land through a different lens.
In downtown Cleveland, Stephen Hernandez, 19 News.
I'm Brian Duffy. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe for the latest headlines, First Alert weather, and breaking news every weekday.